Hi everybody, this is Kevin Purcell for GottaBeMobile.com, and what I have here is the brand new low-end Amazon Kindle. This is the Wi-Fi only model, 4th generation Kindle. It costs $79.99, and you can get them right now. Amazon announced 3 new Kindles. This one, a Kindle Touch that will look similar to this, and then their 7-inch tablet called the Kindle Fire. I want to go ahead and show this to you. I went ahead and picked one up. I love Kindles. As an avid reader, I enjoy using them. We have the 2nd generation Kindle, and I really liked it. Immediately what you'll notice, the difference between this and it. First of all, this has a dark screen, or dark trim to it. A little bit more like the previous generation, the 3rd generation Kindle. And then also, it instead of being having a keyboard down here, you get these buttons down here. I'll show you those in a second. Over here on the back, there's not a whole lot to see with this one. But I really like this Kindle. I'm really impressed with it. I've been very happy with it. Mainly, I think, because of the price. I think that's the #1 feature. 80 bucks in order to get one. And that's a really good deal. Now what I want to show you here is what you get around the edges. Here's the micro USB adapter. There's the power button. You press that, notice you get the LED light that comes on, and then you can start to read with it. Along each side you get these buttons. The top one is to go back in your book, and the next one goes forward, and there's the same kind of buttons on both sides. The old Kindles had much larger buttons and you pressed down on them. With these you still press down. Because they're on the side, I kept wanting to pinch them to push them inward like this. No, you still, with the thumb, you just press down like that. It's a little awkward at first, but not a real big problem. One of the things on the old Kindle that it had up here on the top, on my old Kindle, the 2nd generation one, it had a slider power switch, and then right next to it it had a volume button. This one doesn't have that because it doesn't have audio features. Unlike the previous Kindles, you could listen to audiobooks, MP3s, and that sort of thing on it. Also, it would read your book to you using a computer-generated voice. I never used either of those features, so I'm much happier with a cheaper Kindle that doesn't have the audio features than I would be. But if you use that a lot, then you probably won't want to upgrade to this. Another thing that this Kindle doesn't have, because it puts the buttons right here on the edge, the old Kindle had little hook compartments here that you could hook this into their specially designed case. It would hold on, it would latch onto that, and it worked fairly well. Unfortunately, this doesn't have that, and so if you get a case for it, you're going to have to get the kind that either slides in or has little straps over the corners. Personally, I don't plan to even use a case with this Kindle. I'll probably just keep it naked like this. Now down here you have the controls, and instead of a keyboard, you have these buttons. And there's technically 6 buttons. It looks like 5 because this one's actually 2. But going from left to right, this is your back button. So like if you hit the home button, which is this one over here, hit the back and it goes back into your history. This one brings up an on-screen keyboard, which is, fairly easy to use. It's a little bit cumbersome, so you don't want to do a lot of typing. If you're someone who added a lot of book notes, digital margin notes using the keyboard, then this might get a little annoying at first. Hit it again and the keyboard goes away. This is the menu button, and you see it pops up and you can do a number of things. Turn off the wireless, shop in the store, change the font size. That's something that we really like. I have a mother-in-law, she uses a Kindle and she can barely see small print, so as you could see, I had it closer to that size. She would not be able to read this screen, so on her 3rd generation Kindle she raises the sizing of the text, which is nice. Hit the back button to get out of there. Let's bring back up the menu. Syncing to the furthest read, I like that because you can read on your iPad or your phone, on the computer, whatever you want. This will give you a book description. So you see all these different various things, and I'm not going to go through each one of those. When you do go to the home button, This gives you the list of books that you have on here, and then the menu brings up a little bit different options for you. One of them down here is the experimental. And now there's only one thing on the experimental. It launches a browser. And I'm not really sure what the web page that I'm on there. But so you can see how the cursor moves when you move the screen. You tap on it, then you can bring up the keyboard and begin entering data in there. I'll go back here to the home screen. I'm really impressed with this. I really like it, mainly, like I said, because of the price. The screen is nice. It's easy to read on. I've been reading on my iPad, and a backlit screen isn't quite as comfortable to read on. Your eyes get a little tired a little bit quicker. I haven't seen a big problem with that, but it can be an issue. There's a couple of games on here. They're not great. I had to download these, so I found just a couple of free ones that you can load. But the Kindle now allows you to play some games. You're not going to play, you know, super great games or anything like that. This is a word game that I, found it to be somewhat enjoyable, and it was free. This is the ad-supported version. It's $30 cheaper. If you want, you can spend a little bit more and get the one without the ads. But here's an ad right here, and it's not really very noticeable. Now, if I turn it off, obviously the ad's a lot more noticeable. But, I don't care. I'm not looking at it when it's off, so it really doesn't bother me. As long as they don't put objectionable ads on here, which I doubt that they would ever do, it just doesn't bother me. And so the ads don't bother me. They're here in your home screen, but once you open up a book, you don't see them at all. And so then, if you have your book open, the only time you're going to see it is when you turn it off. The other thing you want to remember is the page turn. It's fairly quick. But I have heard a lot of people are saying that the page turn doesn't refresh the entire screen. It just kind of does every 5 times it does a partial redraw, and then the 5th one it does a total redraw. I'm not sure about that. I don't know where the website that I got that from received that information. But what they said was that you can see some of the artifact from previous pages before it does that full redraw. I haven't noticed that. It hasn't annoyed me at all. I wouldn't have even known it unless they mentioned it. And then even that, I'm having a hard time seeing the problem there. So, that guy might just have had a bad Kindle. I don't know. But, and I don't think that's a problem. But I really like the new Kindle. At the price, I think it's excellent. Number one, I enjoy the screen. I think the small form factor is really good. It works fairly well. It feels sturdy. It's small enough that I've been able to slide this into my pocket and, don't really notice it, or just tuck it into a corner of your briefcase or your computer bag, or just, carry it around like this. And I really like the idea of it. Now, if you miss the keyboard, if you miss the sound feature, if these buttons on the side, kind of annoy you a little bit, those might be a few issues. One other thing I forgot to mention to you is I like to highlight books or add notes. So let's say I find something I want to highlight. You have to go around to the word. Let's say I wanted to start highlighting that. So you'd have to press this middle button down here. And see, it says start highlighting, create a note, or cancel. That'll be, whichever one was the last one that you did is what will be highlighted. So you start the highlighting, and then you can press that and end highlight. What I'm actually going to do is cancel. I don't really want to highlight that feature. And then those highlights will sync, among other things. The newer version of the software that runs on it, to me, maybe I'm forgetting how this worked, but to me I think there's a couple extra buttons you have to push a couple extra times in order to get the highlighting. For some reason I think that you just hit like that, and then you started going like that, and then pressed it again. So you'd hit the button once, use the directional buttons, and then hit the button again, and that would highlight. Now you have to hit the button again to do start highlight, then use the directional buttons, then hit the button to end it, and hit the button one more time to get out of highlighting. So that's 5 button presses to highlight a sentence instead of 3. Minor thing, but I did notice it, thought I'd bring it up to you. The battery life on this is excellent. If you can tell, it's more than 75%. and I've left the Wi-Fi on the entire time I've had it. I've had it over a week now. The first weekend that we got it, we used it constantly. I mean, everybody in the family was taking it and reading with it. Over the last, I'd say 5 days or so, it's been used only by me, and maybe a couple hours a day at the most. But anyway, so the battery life, it depends on how much you read, obviously. It's going to last forever. You can turn off the wireless and preserve some battery life if you want. I just haven't done so. And so I've been very happy with it. This has been Kevin Purcell for GottaBeMobile.com with the new Amazon Kindle, the low-end version of it. And thanks for watching.